The holding cell on Deck 19 was meant for creatures too dangerous to be studied awake. Metal walls reinforced with polyceramic weave, air vents angled to prevent climbing, and a temperature control that could simulate any biosphere the Galactic Research Corps needed. Tonight, it was set to 15 degrees Celsius and 0.8 atmospheric pressure. Optimal for her. Lieutenant Marcus Varon, human engineer, ex-soldier, and the unlucky volunteer of the month, stepped into the containment room as the door sealed behind him with a hydraulic hiss. The creature sat huddled in the far corner. She was humanoid mostly. Silver-blue skin shimmered under the cold lights, her hair an uneven mix of metallic black and pale white, as if frost had touched fire. Her eyes reflected light like those of an animal, pupils wide and trembling. She hissed when she saw him. Marcus didn't move. He simply set his kit bag down, sat cross-legged, and let the silence stretch. They had told him the alien girl was feral, one of the survivors found on the shattered moon of Dareth. 4. She'd been rescued after slaughtering 2 scavenger crews who had tried to capture her. Every attempt at communication had failed. Now they wanted to test behavioral conditioning. Marcus had volunteered. Not because he trusted the Corps, but because he didn't trust them not to kill her. "Hey," he said softly, voice even. "You're not alone, okay?" No reaction. Only those bright animal eyes watching him from under the tangle of her hair. 2 hours later, Marcus had unpacked a thermal blanket and placed a ration bar halfway between them. The alien girl had circled closer, cautious as a predator testing a trap. When he looked away, she darted forward, snatched the bar, and retreated to her corner. He pretended not to notice her eat. The surveillance feed in the corner flickered occasionally, probably monitored by the officers upstairs, analyzing every twitch. Marcus ignored it. He lay back on the floor, hands behind his head, and began speaking aloud as if to himself. "You ever hear what humans call a storm? It's when the air and the ocean fight, and everyone else hides." She tilted her head slightly, chewing in silence. "That's what this place feels like," he continued. "Like I'm waiting for a storm that already passed." Her eyes blinked. Not rage this time, confusion. Maybe curiosity. Day 2. They brought food trays in sealed containers. Marcus ate one. The alien girl ignored hers until he took a piece and set it down near her. Slowly, she mimicked him, clumsy but deliberate. Later, when he drifted toward sleep, he woke to find her standing over him, nostrils flaring as she sniffed his hair, his shoulders, even the small scar on his cheek. He didn't move. She crouched beside him for a long while before retreating back into the shadows. When the scientists reviewed the footage, they noted partial desensitization response. Marcus called it trust. Day 4.
She spoke.
At least he thought she did. A low hum, a string of broken syllables. Mar-cus. His name, mangled by a tongue and used to human speech. He sat up, stunned.
"Yeah."
"Marcus. That's me." Her gaze locked with his. She touched her chest lightly. "Sarah." He smiled.
"Sarah."
"Got it." From that moment, everything changed. They began to share gestures, then words, then moments. She was learning faster than the research logs suggested possible. She mimicked tone, emotion, even laughter, though hers sounded strange, rough-edged, like it had forgotten how to exist. The more she learned, the more Marcus saw the scars beneath her skin, faint lines running across her shoulders and arms, remnants of shackles that hadn't come from the core. Someone else had hurt her first. Day 6. The research team ordered an escalation, proximity test alpha. They wanted to see if the subject could tolerate direct touch. Marcus refused. "She's not a subject. She's a person." "Orders, Lieutenant." They locked him in again, the door sealing with its familiar hiss. Sarah was restless. She paced the room like a caged animal, clawed fingers twitching. When Marcus approached, she bared her teeth. "Easy," he murmured. "It's just me." The lights flickered. Power surge. The speakers went silent. No observation chatter. Just them, the hum of the vents, and Sarah's shallow breaths. Then came the low growl. From her throat, primal and trembling. Not at him, at the walls. Marcus slowly reached out, his palm open. "You're safe. No one's gonna hurt you, not while I'm here." Her gaze darted between his hand and his face. The growl softened. She stepped closer, hesitation melting into something fragile. Her fingers brushed his palm, cold, trembling. For the first time, she didn't flinch. Day 7. When the guards returned, they found Marcus and Sarah sitting beside each other, quiet. No hostility, no fear. The scientists called it unexpected pacification. They planned the next test, separation. Day 8, 0300 hours. Marcus woke to alarms. Emergency lockdown. The cell lights turned crimson. Through the observation glass, he saw movement, security officers arguing, shouting, running. Then the gas vents opened. Sarah screamed. "No!" Marcus slammed his hands against the reinforced wall. "What are you doing?" "She's not dangerous." The intercom crackled. Containment breach in Sector 5. Protocol requires sedation. He didn't think. He acted. Using the maintenance panel he'd studied days earlier, Marcus pried it open and yanked the coolant wire. Sparks flew. The door released. Sarah was collapsing when he reached her. He caught her before she hit the floor, coughing from the gas. Her eyes fluttered open, panicked. "Marcus." "Yeah, I'm here." He tore off his own oxygen mask, pressed it over her mouth, and lifted her in his arms. They stumbled through the corridor, alarms blaring. Guards shouted orders, but Marcus didn't stop. He ducked through service tunnels, half blind from the smoke, carrying her like a promise he refused to break. Hours later, he found refuge in a cargo bay, sealing the hatch behind them. The gas had worn off, and Sarah was breathing easier. She opened her eyes, confused, weak. "You stayed," she whispered. He brushed a strand of silver hair from her face. "Told you I would." For the first time since they'd met, she smiled, small, fragile, but real. And then, exhausted, she curled up against him. By the time the rescue teams found them, she was fast asleep, head resting on his chest, one clawed hand clutching his shirt like she feared he'd vanish. 3 weeks later, they called it unauthorized interference with a live specimen. Marcus was discharged. The Corps wanted to separate them permanently, but Sarah refused to cooperate with anyone else. So they made a deal. Sarah would remain under observation, but Marcus would be her assigned liaison. They lived in a quiet observation dome on the far edge of the facility, where the stars reflected off the glass ceiling. Marcus repaired old equipment to pass the time. Sarah sat beside him, mimicking his movements, sometimes humming softly, a tune he didn't recognize, but somehow felt like home. One night, he asked, "What was it like before we found you?" She hesitated, then drew 3 claw marks on the floor.
Cage. Fire.
Alone. He placed his hand over hers. Not anymore. Months later, the Corps abandoned the project entirely. Funding shifted to new war fronts. Marcus and Sarah were quietly transferred off-world to a remote colony, officially, to continue integration research. Unofficially, they were forgotten. They built a home out of the wrecked landing modules. She hunted,